Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Sunday. Yeah guys, yesterday felt like Sunday. I had more comments on yesterday's video saying, Michelle, it's Saturday not Sunday. Yeah, I realise that now. So yeah, this is Sunday. I hadn't suddenly like teleported to Australia or something. Anyway, to the video. For those of you who watched yesterday's video, I said that today I'm going to go through 15th of June, the day that summer disappeared, according to Jodisue, what Jodisue has said about that day. I've talked about Jodisue's timeline many times on this channel. I've always considered Jodisue a witness. I've always considered Jodisue's timeline to fit with broadly what we know about that day. But having considered Jodisue a person of interest, I've got to revisit this and think about it. That's what I'm going to do. First, let's look at the days leading up to June 15th. And we know that summer was alive and was well, according to Jodisue. Jodisue says the last time she saw summer was 2 days before she disappeared. So that would be June 13th. She says that she saw summer naked, out of the shower, demanding a towel, being a little bit of a brat in Jodisue's words. And she's claimed that Don was in the shower with her. Scott H did an excellent job of questioning how Jodisue could have seen summer and knowing Don was there just by the layout of the house. So I'll leave a link to Scott's live in the description box so that you can go and check it out for yourself. He used Chris McDonough's footage of when Chris entered the house. You remember when there was little kittens running around and Chris made the joke about critters and things, that clip, right? So you walk into the house and there's that kind of room that the boys were sleeping in, and then you have to do a right through a door which takes you into the kitchen area. Now the bathroom where the shower is through that kitchen into the extension part of the house. So you've got to do a right, then a left, walk through the kitchen, and there you see the bathroom. So Scott is absolutely right that how did Jodisue see Summer in the shower? Did she just assume Summer had been in the shower? If she was in the driver's seat on the kind of driveway in front of the front door of the house, how did she know Summer had been in the shower? Well, maybe she deduced that, maybe because she was naked, because maybe she was wet and she was demanding a towel. But how did she know Don was there? Now, isn't it right that it was when Candice tried to get Jodisue to change her story about Don being in the shower that she changed her mind and thought Candice must be involved? Because originally she said the parents weren't involved. She said Candice was so distraught on the day that she saw her when she was coming down the driveway starting to look for Summer. She said, how can anybody fake that? Tilly, come here. Good girl. Person's up there. Come here. How can anybody fake that? Well, yeah, I think I'd probably think the same if I'd seen a distraught woman shouting for her daughter. But we know that Candice is a good actress. Jodisue hasn't said why she was there in the driver's seat talking to one of Summer's brothers, but make your own mind up on whether you think Jodisue is being truthful on that one. Andy, Jodisue's then partner, according to Jodisue, saw Summer on the 14th of June, so a day before her disappearance. Again, we don't know why Andy was visiting. Are they really good friends that they visit? Is it a drug drop? What? We don't know. There are other people who saw Summer in the days before June 15th. Summer had a friend staying, come and visit. I'm not going to show that picture, but it's a little girl who is Summer's best friend, went to visit. I'm not going to show them because it's got kids on it, but there's video on Candace's TikTok of kids playing on a slip and slide in the days up to Summer's disappearance. So I'm not in any doubt that it was June 15th that Summer disappeared. The TBI tells us the same. So with all that said, let's turn to June 15th, where according to Leslie Earhart from the TBI,
she was last seen outside of her home
in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road,
which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County.
Family member reported her missing
to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30
Tuesday evening. That was the press conference on the 16th of June. Played this clip many times before. On the 24th of June, Leslie Earhart tells us that she was last seen early afternoon. Is that the last time the TBI can get a proof of life status outside of the family? So H was dropped off between 2 and 2:30. So H saw her. I truly believe H is a witness, not a person of interest, from all of the information that's come out about him so far. Chris McDonough tells us that Candace and Grandma were seen on surveillance. He says that the prescription was picked up at 1:33. Listen to this clip.
I have confirmation that they were in, Grandma and Candace were in one of the local stores. And so actually I've got it from a couple different stores. And I've kind of got a good timeline of, when, based on the 911 call, that is, public information, as well as, kind of piecing it back to when they believe they saw them in the store. Okay. And one of them was where the prescriptions were filled up. Okay. And that timeline is narrowed down to about 1:33 p.m.
And then we have the milk jugs photo. For me, is the very last proof of life we've got, but it's controversial. I can pinpoint exactly where it was taken, but we only have Candace's word when it was taken. She told the channel Unmasked 3:09 p.m. and they were around 8 minutes away from home. So they have got home about 3:20. Let's now turn to Jodisue's account of the day. She talks about text messages between her and Andy on that day. That's how she recalls the timeline quite specifically. So earlier on in the day, some texts were exchanged between her and Andy, and then we get to the infamous text at 4:52. Rewind about 20 minutes or so if the timeline of the scream between 4:30 and 4:42 is accurate. Jodisue and her kids were in their cabin.
Somewhere between 4:30 and 4:42, the children and I were sitting there being pretty loud, laughing, carrying on. I mean, and when I say loud, we're pretty loud. However, the cabin was quiet, TV running, no air, no fans. And this scream happens.
On WJHL, Jodisue and her son have described this scream. Jodisue has been telling us for months now that she can calculate when this scream happened because it was 10 to 20 minutes before the 4:52 text message. When they heard the scream, her and her son went out on the banking to see if they could find anything, see anything, and they didn't. At some point before that, Jodisue says that she was out on the bank and her and her son saw a flash of something going up Candace's driveway. A red vehicle, but not the red of the Subaru that Don had. But she doesn't see this vehicle coming back down, and we don't have a time point of when this was. We also don't have anything from Jodisue about when Candice, Summer and Grandma got home. It could be that they were in the cabin, they were just, I don't know, doing what they do, having a relaxing afternoon, and they just didn't hear Candice coming home. Not an unusual noise, therefore why attend to it? We have the flash of the red vehicle. Jodisue's son said it was just the neighbours. We don't know. We don't know whether that's significant or not. In the earliest reports Jodisue gave of the scream, she said very distinctly that it was Summer that was screaming. She's changed that. She's become a little bit more vague, perhaps because she's doubting herself. Was it Summer? Was it something else? I believe Jodisue heard something. I do believe that. But I'm open-minded as always. Jodisue could simply have made up the entire day. I can't say one way or another whether she did. I can just say what I believe. And I believe she did hear something on that afternoon. Then Andy texts to say he's going to be late and he's going to tell her when he's setting off. At 6:09, he sets off. She goes outside to walk down the driveway, attend to her flowers while she's waiting for Andy to arrive home from work. That's what she does. The text is 6:09. That's when she heard them shouting for Summer. She reached the bottom of the driveway onto Ben Hill Road. She walked up Ben Hill Road and met Candice driving out. She heard Don on speakerphone and they were looking for Summer. Now, Jodisue has claimed that Candice was going round to neighbours, telling them this thing and that thing, but that was only after she kind of switched sides, if you will, and started to think about Candice as having something to do with it rather than being an innocent party. And all of this, of course, is just what Jodisue has said in various live streams on her Facebook and then YouTube. Did any of this happen? Candice does say that she saw Jodisue, but it's very unclear from Candice's point of view when this was. The reason why I believe Jodisue's 6:09 is because it fits with the dispatch call. The dispatch call came in around 6:30, heard on the police scanners.
Keeping around for 110, 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Jodisue's 6:09 makes sense. They started shouting for Summer. They realised she'd gone. They rang 911 and said, oh, she's been missing 10 minutes. Fits. Herein lies the issue. That Jodisue has added things to her story as time has gone by. Recently, and I made a video about this, recently Jodisue remembered something that she'd, as far as I know, has never talked about before. What she believed to be the Suburban, which is another one of the Wells vehicles, going up the driveway. She estimates it to be around 5:30. Now, this fits with the belief, and allegedly law enforcement believe, that Candice left the hill twice. So this would fit with Candice, perhaps, going up the driveway at 5:30 in the Suburban, and then 6:09, about 40 minutes later, coming down the driveway in Grandma's truck. Why did Candice leave the hill twice? Now, because this is an add-on to Jodisue's original story, we've got to question a lot here. Why did Jodisue add in this extra piece of information? If we're going to critically analyse Jodisue's testimony, if we're questioning one element of it, we've got to question it all, surely. Has Jodisue been adding things into her story to stay relevant? These are just ideas, to bolster her status as a key witness, to add in things that happened during kind of the missing time. And if you're doing that, why are you doing that? Is it to create an alibi for either yourself or a member of your family? She could easily have added that in after, given that there's been lots of talk about Candice leaving the hill twice. Jodisue could have added in the detail about the Suburban around 5:30. She claims she's got PTSD. I've no reason to disbelieve her on that. She's hypervigilant. It's quite possible for somebody who's experienced trauma to blank certain things out, to misremember. If we're giving Jodisue that grace and saying maybe things are coming back to her after the fact, we've also got to grant Candice and Grandma that grace, surely. If we're giving one person grace and the benefit of the doubt, then we've got to give everybody, surely. That's just a thought. Anyway, so we've got a flash of red going up the driveway at some point before 4:30. We've got the scream between 4:30 and 4:42. We've got potentially the Suburban going up the driveway around 5:30. And then we've got 6:09, Jodisue coming down her driveway, hearing them shouting for Summer, and then shortly after that, meeting Candice and actually speaking to her. That's Jodisue's timeline. Thinking critically about this and considering Jodisue not as a witness but as a person of interest, we have got to ask the question, was this planned? Did Jodisue, perhaps not the hearing the Suburban because that came later, but Jodisue inserting herself in the case very early on, putting ideas in people's heads early on to create some kind of alibi or distraction. I think distraction is probably a better way to phrase this, because she knows that potentially members of her family were involved. Now, some people have said that she inserted the scream late on, and that's why it's untrue. Well, that isn't true, because Candice allegedly told someone on June 20th, so just 5 days after Summer disappeared, that her neighbour had heard a scream. This recording was sent to Crazy Crime Chick.
And that's her little swing right there off that tree. She loved to play right there in that yard. That was her favorite spot to be. So whoever took her had to actually come up into the yard and take her. And I don't understand, because, like, my neighbor heard her scream, but I didn't hear her scream because I was in the house with the boys trying to find her. And I guess when my neighbor heard her scream, I was actually in the house and the TV was going, so I didn't even hear the scream.
By June 20th, Candice was telling people that her neighbour heard a scream. But it only came to light 2 months later. Don mentioned it, and then Jodisue came out and started to talk about it. She started on going on panels. The first, I believe, was on Squaltit's channel on September 22nd. And the rest is history. She started going on panels, she became known, and then eventually she created her own YouTube channel. She's faced a lot of opposition. A lot of people have called her out for this, that, and the other. I absolutely cannot abide people calling her out for her voice. She has got cancer. It's very evident if you watch her content that she has got cancer. She's had treatment, she's had surgery. So calling her out for her voice, I think, is well below the belt. I'm only interested in what Jodisue has said about the events of June 15th. Candice went, according to Candice, this way and that way, down the holler and back. Jodisue has said that Candice was out talking to neighbours and such, telling neighbours various things. Jodisue and another neighbour searched around the creek. Jodisue claims that she walked in the creek to keep scent down and to feel around with her feet at the bottom of the creek. I made a video recently questioning this. Why did Jodisue talk about the scent dogs and kind of keeping the scent down? I think the word she used. It's questionable. If you're looking at her as a person of interest, it's questionable. Looking at her as a witness, it's not so questionable. But anyway, she was there. Witnesses saw her there. She saw the boys down there. Allegedly, we haven't seen this recording, but allegedly the boys were caught on someone's GoPro as they cycled by. That was around 7 p.m, so that would be around the time just before the cops started to arrive. It was around the time that Don arrived. Controversially, he didn't go up to the house first. He went to the bottom property, to the shed area, but he said he stopped at the creek. He saw his boys there, he saw his neighbours there, and at that point he knew summer had gone. Very controversial. That's what he says happened. That's what Jodisue says happened. Two different accounts saying the same thing. I'm happy with that. I can't wait for the day that police body cam is released. I hope at some point in the future police body cam is released for what actually happened on that evening. Who arrived when, who was there when. I'd love to know what the police have captured. But all we've got at the moment is hearsay, people's word, he said, she said, and the interpretation of it is down to the individual. As I said in a video a few days ago, if you consider Jodisue a person of interest, you can interpret what she's saying in a different way than if you consider her just a witness, as I've been doing until recently. What else do we know about June 15th? Well, as I talked about yesterday and the day before, I've been looking into what Fred Hill said about the events of June 15th. Because I've considered Jodisue a witness, not a person of interest, and because when Ziggy released her recording of her conversation, two conversations actually, with Fred Hill, I considered the whole of that dubious because Fred Hill said some things that were clearly untrue. He made Ziggy believe that the bones could possibly be animal, but he's not sure. Come on, Fred. Come on now, Fred. Why lie about that? To just confuse YouTubers, to prank? Because YouTubers were there and the locals were sick of it. Jodisue said it was just Fred being Fred. He said there was a prostitution ring at the wells. He said that Candice had 2 children, 2 daughters, 2 babies after summer. She had 1 while Don was at work. Just some things that, come on, Fred. Come on, you're going to have to do better than that, son. But just because said some things that weren't true, do we have to disregard all of it? I don't know. But Jodisue saying, oh, it's just Fred being Fred, and not wanting Ziggy to go to Ben Hill Road gives me alarm bells. Because Fred being Fred, well, if Fred's just being Fred, why is he implicating his cousin, Andy? Andy Bernard is Fred Hill's cousin. They are both grandchildren or great-grandchildren of Ben Hill, the guy who gave his name to Ben Hill Road. It's true that the Hill descendants own a lot of property around Beach Creek. It would be easy for a member of that family, you know, broadly speaking, that family, the descendants of Ben Hill, to have hidden Summer, alive or dead, on a property and for her not to be found. And it begs the question, was Jodisue covering up for somebody? Did Jodisue make these claims to insert herself in the case early on with regard to the scream to distract away from what really went down on that day? I can't say whether Jodisue was directly involved at all, but what I can say is that we have to consider the possibility that she was, even if it's just to cover up some things or to distract on some things. That's very possible. We have to consider it. We do. We have to consider it. And the more Jodisue has talked, in my opinion, the more questionable she's become. Because, you know, some creators have said Jodisue has confused Candice. She's put ideas in Candice's head. Candice didn't know the timeline at all. And it's Jodisue that's inserted herself in the case and given Candice a timeline that she's now confused about. I've made videos saying Candice has to be lying because of what Jodisue has said. But looking at it from the other way, could it be that Jodisue inserted herself to intentionally confuse Candice in the days after Summer's disappearance? She could have genuinely heard a noise, heard a scream, and only after became aware that one of her family was involved. There's all these possibilities, and these are just possibilities. You see, because as I discussed 2 days ago and then yesterday, Fred Hill saying that he saw Andy very clearly, says 100% sure he saw Andy, his cousin, on Ben Hill Road. And Squaltit actually replied to me yesterday, and she said that Fred only reported seeing Andy to the cops after he became aware that Jodisue was saying that Andy was on camera all day. The plot thickens, because why was Andy there? Why would Jodisue lie about that? Why would Fred say that at all? Why would Andy be there on Ben Hill Road, kind of just sitting there between 3 and 3:30? It's almost like he was waiting for something. I don't know, you guys. It's really strange. But Fred said that there's cameras down the hollow. So what did those cameras pick up? And it begs the question, is Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying that the scream is unfounded because Jodisue's entire story is unbelievable? And do law enforcement have information that we don't have that disproves what Jodisue has been telling us? We can only speculate on these things. I don't know, you guys. It's all really odd. Really odd. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle. I hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye from Miss Cassie Springer and Miss Tillington. Bye, guys.